How you react to the problem determines how long you stay in the problem. Your rewards in life are determined by the problems you solve, not the problems you create. Think about that. When you disobey God in the problem, He doesn't get in heaven and suck a Maalox bottle and say, oh, they're not obeying me. His response, He just sends you one more time around that same problem. And you just keep going in a circle in your life. Life becomes a merry-go-round. Think about that.
If we'll be willing to change, make adjustments, start passing those tests, then God will show us more of His favor. God doesn't give up on us. He gives us another chance. Don't be surprised at the fiery trial that is to test your quality. The purpose of the trial is to test your character. God already knows how you're going to respond. It's not to show God, it's to show you what's in you. Every traffic jam, every person that gets on your nerves, every time you're tempted to be jealous, critical, pay someone back, that's not a random challenge. That's God testing your quality. That's an opportunity to grow, to come up higher, to show Him what you're made of.
We're going to talk about something that has been uncomfortable for the church to talk about. We talk about victory. I'm the seed of Abraham, success, abundance, life, prosperity, victory over this and that and the other. We don't talk about crushing. And the book is called Crushing because the emblem of our faith is an execution chamber. The cross was an execution chamber. It was years before it became a place of adoration. It was a place of reprehensible judgment on felons and criminals, and our Christ died in the most hideous way on a cross, naked in front of all of His disciples, crushed as far as His image was concerned, and His affluence and influence shattered as He bled to death, writhing on a cross. And yet we say nothing about suffering. So when people suffer as saints, they do it in silence because we feel obligated to tell each other that we're not going through anything. And I wrote the book Crushing because I believe crushing is just a step to conquering. And once you have gone through your crushings, you become a conqueror, wise and strong because of what you went through.
A lot of Christians have confused motion with progress. Believe me, going to 13 Bible studies a month does not make you more spiritual. If you don't know where you're going or how you're going to get there, sit down until you've got it figured out and then go there. The purpose of the problem is not to discourage you, but to develop you. Say that with me. The purpose of the problem is not to discourage you, but to develop you. Your problem is going to make you stronger.
But I just want you to know that you're not the only one whose life doesn't go exactly the way you'd like it to go. We have little trials and big trials, and I went through all the years. Please listen to me. I went through all the years of trying to find some way to live where I had enough faith, where I never had those problems, and where when I did get a problem, I could rebuke the devil and believe God and make that problem go away. And I just about killed myself with frustration. And finally I decided, oh, I'm supposed to trust God. And if God doesn't get rid of it, then I trust God to take me through it. We trust God's timing. We trust His wisdom. We trust His ways. And by doing that, guess what happens? We can enjoy every single day of the journey. We don't have to just be happy when we arrive and get it all our way. We can enjoy every single day, even of the wait.
And the problem with failing the test, being rude to someone that's rude to you, getting upset every time you get stuck in traffic, being jealous over a friend that got a promotion, when you don't pass, you're going to have to take the test again. It's not going to go away. God is going to keep testing your quality. He loves you too much to let you stay at one level. That's why you can't pray away everything that's uncomfortable. Well, God, get this coworker out of my life. They're irritating me. They're getting on my nerves. That's a test. Why don't you be an eagle and rise above their pettiness? Stop letting them steal your joy. Stop giving them your power.
problems are living proof that you are a card-carrying member of the human race. How can you know God is a healer if you have not been sick? How can you know God is a provider unless God has made a way for you and He has given you what you need? How can you know God is a comforter unless you've spent the night in some dark garden of Gethsemane with a broken heart after being betrayed? How can you know that God is a mighty counselor unless you've been in a crisis without an answer and He made a way where there seemed to be no way? How can you know God is a shepherd until you have been lost and without God? How can you know that God is the Prince of Peace unless He's taken you out of a great storm and given you peace that surpasses understanding? How can you know that He's the God of all hope without feeling hopeless? How can you know that? How do you have a problem? That's fantastic. Shout hallelujah, brother. Get off your pity pot and start moving. God's on your side. Great things are about to happen. Give the Lord a shout of praise in the house of God. Problems are resistance. If what you're doing doesn't have resistance, it's not worth doing.
Yeah, it was good for me that I have been afflicted. The more they afflicted them, the more they grew. You're only strong because of the weight that's been put on you.
Right.
You wouldn't be the man that you are today if you hadn't suffered and endured and agonized and put up with stuff and went home and beat the wall and cried in a pillow to stand up to be who you are. People see you on stage and they think, oh, you're Matt Crouch, you're Paul's son. You've always had it good. Nobody has it good. I don't care where you live or what you drive. Nobody makes it through this life without pain.
Without the resistance of water, a ship can't float. Without the resistance of air, those huge jet aircraft cannot fly. Without the resistance of gravity, you can't walk. A rubber band is effective only when it's stretched. Remember the tea kettle. It doesn't sing until it gets up to its neck in hot boiling water, and then it whistles. Kites rise against the wind, not with the wind. The purpose of the problem is to take you to a new level of success. The purpose of the problem is to show you the grandeur of God, to take away something that's good, to give you something better, to give you something that's the best. And the end result of the problem is the text, that these problems produce exceeding great joy.
I've never met anybody that I thought, oh, I want to suffer like you. Paul says his prayer is, oh, that I may know him in the fellowship of his suffering and the power of his resurrection. You can't have a resurrection without a crucifixion. There must have been some knowledge. This guy speaks 5 different languages. He's traveled all over the world. He's trained at the feet of Gamaliel. He's very experienced. He is a spiritual father in Zion. He's responsible for most of the epistles in the New Testament. And the one thing he asks for is to know him in the fellowship of his suffering and the power of his resurrection. And really, they sound like contradictions, but the suffering and the power of his resurrection are the same thing, because you can't know him in the power of his resurrection if you haven't had crucifixion.
When you let someone else determine whether or not you're going to stay in peace, you're handing them your thermostat. You're letting them control your temperature. They say something rude, you get upset. They leave you out, you get offended. They ignore you, your day is soured. Do yourself a favor, take your thermostat back. Quit letting other people control your atmosphere. Determine your mood, your peace, your joy. You can't control what they do, but you can control how you respond. Start passing the test. Next time they're rude, just smile and go about your day. When they leave you out, just stay in peace. God, I know you're fighting my battles. You're my vindicator. When they try to make you feel small, just ignore it and move on. They don't determine your destiny. You're not who they say you are. You are who God says you are. You're a masterpiece, one of a kind, crowned with favor.